everybody, this is Snarist, and welcome back to the finale of my Ninja Gaiden 4, the Two Masters DLC, on Master Ninja difficulty with an S rank, and this is Mission 3, Genesis. And there's not too much I can really say about the nature of the combat in this mission, because it's all going to take place within this alternate dimension, and it's more or less the same enemies you've been fighting, except you're going to have to go up against about 2 or 3 major fights before you come to the conclusion of it all, where you have to fight down Seere once more, but this time her 2 halves will be combined, and so you'll have to fight her in 2 phases, and she'll have a combination of both of her halves abilities, plus a couple more new ones. And despite all the problems I have with her, and the fact that she's one of the toughest bosses I've ever fought, and she's the biggest reason why I'm just not really going to bother finishing the Abyssal Road anymore, because I put way too many hours into trying to finish it and I just can't do it. She's a big part of the reason why. She's an incredibly cheap boss, and you know, if I gave it a bit more thought, and it seems like a lot of people that have played the DLC themselves and have tried on Master Ninja, they all are in agreement that Seere is an incredibly broken boss. And if she was adjusted slightly so that her hitboxes were a little bit better, and dodging was a little bit more apparent, and you didn't get hit by any bullshit, then it'd be fine. Because something I noticed as well when revisiting the footage is that when it came to the final boss, it's only her second phase that's really the problem. Because when you get her health down like maybe a third or close to halfway, she does this move where she becomes invincible, and those spinning like blade projectile things she has that turn orange and blue, they go into the ground, and then she teleports rapid fire for 3 attacks and does a couple of unblockables here and there. But no matter what you try to do to interrupt her, she continues doing the same thing again and again, until eventually the combination ends with her going up into the sky, and then eventually everything starts to go dark, and then the special prompt shows up, but you've got like a second or even less than a second to break it, because if you don't, then she'll go up into the sky and it basically just one shot kills you, which, okay, that's fine. I mean, if you don't have an Incense of Rebirth, it's not fine, because you won't be able to respawn again. But the problem I have is that sometimes the moment she shows up and starts going up into the sky, it shows up immediately, although sometimes it takes 2 whole seconds for it, after a delay, before the prompt comes up. And sometimes you can swear that you've hit it, but it just doesn't land. And I've tested this myself. Unless you predict it early on, and you use your key gauge very sparingly when it comes to Ryu, it's really tough to break that as him, because she goes up in the air and out of his reach. But if you use his Ninpo at the right time, which is what I try to do, then you can catch it. But I swear I've tried to catch her multiple times and it just hasn't worked out. And something else I've got to emphasize as well is that I died quite a lot in this mission, but only on that final boss fight. But you see, because I didn't die at all getting to that point, like sure I needed an Incense of Rebirth, but I didn't properly die. But when I got to that boss fight, I died maybe like 5 or 6 times, but for a few of those attempts I was retrying the battle. Like I was already getting ready to give up, but when I went to retry the battle, eventually I stopped and went restart from checkpoint, which put me back at the Mora Master statue. So it pretty much did the same thing, except it stopped anytime I died, I went restart checkpoint from that point on, so that it stopped me from taking away from my score even further. Because if you didn't know that, if you want to help save on your score, and you don't want the multiplier of your deaths to be affected, your items will be affected, but your actual deaths won't, then you need to restart from checkpoint. And that's more or less what I did to help save my score. And I'm pretty sure if you look around somewhere on the net, you can find like a detailed list of the different scores that you'll need in order to get to Master Ninja. You know, what the overall karma score is. But the one I ended up with at the end of this mission, even with all the penalties and negative aspects of it all, with the use of items and the few times I died, I still got just a little over 100,000 karma score. So I don't know if 100,000 is the default that you need for an S rank on Master Ninja, but what I found is for a lot of missions, it tends to be, unless it's a short mission with just bosses in the main story, a lot of it tends to be sort of around the like 50 to 60 or even 70,000 level. So something I noticed that's really good about Master Ninja difficulty is you fight so many enemies and you're forced to use all sorts of crazy techniques, and you keep getting multiple hits on tons of enemies, so your combo is always really consistently high, so your karma score is always going to be big when it comes to technique. You just need to make sure that you finish really fast. And not only do you need to make sure you finish very fast, you need to make sure you kill almost every enemy you can, so that way you get the max bonus score. Time is a real big one. Now, I noticed in this DLC story, the timer, the score you get for timing, it's still pretty good in terms of getting like 14,000 out of 20,000, but if you want that maximum 20,000 time bonus for your karma, then you need to be very, very fast. Because I don't believe I get it in this, because it takes me 20 minutes in total to beat the mission, including my deaths and everything. But realistically, the mission should only take you about 15 minutes. So, yeah, if you're going to use tons of items, don't overdo it, but make sure that if you use tons of items, make sure not to die. Because the moment you use tons of items and you die even once, it massively affects your score. If you're not going to use tons of items, then it is okay if you die heaps. You can die heaps, but just don't use any items, or only use a couple of items and you're fine. But if you're going to use a lot of items, make sure you don't die and make sure you finish the mission quickly. That's kind of the golden rule for it all. And I believe this is actually the final, proper big encounter we have before we move on to the final boss fight. And I've already exhausted myself on it all, but I suppose before we get there, a fun little story that I'd like to share is, it's been about 24 hours now, or close to it, because last night I was up pretty late making that shitpost video. I'm going to keep it up there. It's got a bit of a, I don't know what to say it, but it's got like a bit of a knock against it, because it's got like a copyright, not a copyright strike, but it's got a warning of copyright and something else in there. I don't know what it could be, but I understand the copyright because I use the Guts theme from Berserk. The original Berserk anime, the 1997 one, I believe it is. Yeah. Because it's more or less just like a meme video of me on one of my attempts actually beating Seere in the Abyssal Road, and then I get to floor 91, and then I instantly, the moment I try to do anything, one of those DDO soldiers use their area of effect attack, and all the rest of them jump me at the same time. So I managed to block it and all that, but they kept me, stun locked for the most part. Block, with my block up. But because the arena is mostly covered in that area of effect, what ended up happening is they broke my guard, and I fell to the ground, and it took really 2 seconds to get back up. But by then, one of them uppercutted me with a sword, and they fucking killed me. And I basically just made it clear, yo, I've made it through 80 floors in less than an hour. How is this one 10 stack of floors, taking me 4 to 5 hours to do? How was it doing it? And I did a couple more hours today and I still didn't get it. So, that really fucked me off. And it's part of the reason why I'm not going to bother doing it anymore. I don't even care if I could do it. I know I can do it. It would just take a very, very long time and a small degree of luck to be able to get through it. And, it got to the point where I just wasn't having fun anymore. And I wish I kind of made that, because I did do a full review last night on the Two Masters DLC, a complete review, and I wish I'd held off on it a little bit more so I could talk a bit more about the Abyssal Road and my problems with it, because I had a lot more to say about it after making more attempts. So I fully expect that shitpost not to go anywhere, and if it doesn't after maybe a few weeks or something, I think I'll just end up getting rid of it, because to be honest, meme templates, those sort of shitpost videos, they don't really suit me, and I kind of want to have an air of professional, what do you call it? I want some kind of professional presentations with my work. The whole thing of a shitpost kind of goes against that. So I don't know what I'll do with it. I also don't like the idea of deleting work that I come to regret. I think it's probably more integral to my character that I keep it there. It's you can't undo your mistakes in real life. So, just because I have that power to do it on the internet, why would I, I at least have the sense to not do that? Because, contrary to the fact that I like to spend a lot of time by myself and I like to hang out on games and I don't really go outside all that much. All my spare time I just kind of keep to myself and I just do all this sort of thing all day. I at least understand that with the internet you have a tremendous advantage of being able to erase your mistakes as best you can. But I know the internet doesn't forget, so I may as well just take whatever mistakes I've made and own it, and leave it out there for people to, make what they will of it. But yeah, these encounters go on way too long. But what I'm trying to get to the point with the story is that when I uploaded my Two Masters review last night, I double checked it, a couple of times throughout the day and even tonight. And as it stands right now, it might have changed now, but I checked it maybe like an hour or so ago, and the video was sitting at 67 views. I'm like, I get that it's, the Two Masters DLC is only like 3 or 4 days old, but it's the fact that it's now my third most popular video on my channel that's been actively uploaded on for about 2 to 3 months, or 2 to 2.5 months or something like that. And out of all the projects I'm passionate about and the videos I'm passionate about, that's the one that is getting up there. The only other videos that have eclipsed it have been my God of War 3 videos on the Hercules boss fight and Cerberus Breeder boss fight. Okay, by the way, I might as well just explain here what I'm doing. Immediately as soon as I get into the fight, I activate a War Brew and an Iron Brew to give myself more attack and defense, and I immediately use my Ninpo. When you enter this fight for the first time, there's two things that can happen. Either Seere will charge forward with her hammer attacks, slowly but steadily getting to you, or she'll immediately throw projectiles at you, one after the other, and so you need to dodge them carefully. Otherwise, there is the odd chance that she'll come straight at you with one of these special attacks right here, and if she does, that's great, because I'm already in the second phase now. So basically, when you get to the second phase, try to have at least 2 of the Iron Brew and the War Brew, and when she becomes available right here, you'll need to focus a bit more on slashing away. When she does that, when there's like a black and orange circle on the ground, you need to either get off the ground or get away from her as much as possible, because then that happens. So yeah, just wear down her health, and when you get it down to about 1/3 of the way there, she'll do this. Now, I do recommend turning on an Iron Brew and a War Brew to increase your stamina, your defense and all that. Use health as well if you can. I don't recommend doing that. Keep at least enough of your Ninpo ready, and the one with the projectiles. And it's a tricky thing too, because that was really fast and it seems really easy. It's not. It took me a while to get that. Because she activated that special attack pretty quickly, and she could have definitely activated on a delay. And then if she did, I would have been screwed probably, and that's why I was saving my Ninpo. So that's more or less the end of the series. Bit of an abrupt end, I'm afraid. But I'll see you guys in the EX trials, which I'll be covering next.